Good morning and welcome to the Caregiver Teleconnection. My name is Glenda Rogers and I'm going to be your facilitator for today's session with Cynthia Hazel. And we're going to be talking about mastering mindful self-care. Sounds like a really important topic for Cynthia to cover today. Before she gets started, let me tell you a little bit about Cynthia. Cynthia Hazel is a multi-gifted, inspirational speaker with a compassionate heart for service. As a seasoned professional, she has helped people excel in both for and nonprofit environments. She inspires everyone to recognize their value, expand their knowledge, and broaden their perspectives. Actively involved in social media, Cynthia demonstrates how to maintain a grateful heart and stay informed on wellness trends. Cynthia carries a Master's of Arts degree in Communication from Eastern New Mexico University and another Master's in Adult Education from the University of Incarnate Word. In addition, she values the years she spent helping veterans with PTSD and chronic pain to live whole and recovered life. It's her way of giving back. Cynthia, thank you for being with us today.
And thank you so much, Glenda. And I'm really looking forward to this talk because, what happens with us caregivers is that we put everybody ahead of ourselves and then don't think about our own self-care. So I thought this was an important topic to bring up, and I'm going to give you a presentation, give you some ideas about what you can add to your own self-care regimen. So my goal is to help you realize that it's not selfish to take care of yourself. In fact, it helps when you're caregiving for someone else if you will do this, because then you can recharge, rebalance, and recommit to the process. So it's really interesting because I thought I'd start everybody off with a meditative moment, and this might be the perfect day for it since we're all regrouping. So mindfulness meditation is really easy. And before we start, just let me share with you that mindfulness is a process and not a religion. And I want to clarify that so everyone can enjoy the process. On mindfulness meditation, I just want us to have a glimpse. So I ask that everyone would sit comfortably, feet flat on the floor, spine straight. And then if you will close your eyes and relax your whole body. So as you close, bring your attention inward. Notice your feet are getting heavier. Let conflicting thoughts drift away. And your focal phrase for today will be peace. So as you breathe in, think peace, and then exhale out your mouth. Okay, so let's breathe in, thinking peace. And very gently exhale out the mouth. Breathe in peace. And exhale out the mouth. And breathe in peace one more time. And very slowly and easily exhale out the mouth. And open your eyes when you're ready. Now that's just a very, very small taste of mindfulness, and meditation is really easy. I'm just introducing it to some of you, and I wanted you to have a flavor for it. But as we go along, we're going to explore mindfulness in the area of self-care. So next slide, please, Minerva. So I stepped onto the healing path after surviving 2 major automobile accidents. And as a consequence, I was dealing with a lot of pain. And recovering from the after effects gave me the knowledge and experience to inspire others. So I understand your challenges as well, because I was a caregiver to my mom for 12 years. So we talked about my mission, and thank you, Glenda, for reminding me that it's very important to be present in what we do and to be focused. In presentations, I offer topics designed to enhance your self-worth, like gratitude, loving others, forgiveness, and then today's talk on mindful self-care. You are the focus of my personalized heart sync sessions that are designed to give purpose to your goals and meaning to your wellness. So I'll be available at the end of the presentation if you have any questions about what I do. But for now, let's dive into what we're going to learn. Minerva, please. Okay, it's very important to care for ourselves as caregivers. And if you look at the role of caregiver, where normally that person is selfless and compassionate. So in the process of doing all of that and taking care of your loved one, it's really, really easy for caregivers to neglect their own emotions and focus solely on the needs of the one that you're caring for. So family caregiving can lead to additional pressures, even like financial strain, family conflict, or social withdrawal. And caregiving can be physically and emotionally exhausting, as you can find yourself dealing with challenging situations, and often they can be one on top of another, and you're trying to balance everything. So instead of reacting in anger or stress, when you feel a little bit lost, a little bit hopeless, it's best to have an alternative just in case. So having a self-care plan will help you avoid getting to the place where you don't mean to, but you may feel irritable, fatigued, exhausted, and some even experience weight gain. Finding a balance between your caregiving responsibilities and your personal life is crucial to your well-being. This may mean carving time out of your day or out of your week for yourself. And I have some simple ways I'm going to be suggesting later on that you can do that. So practicing mindful self-care is a great way to raise your awareness and increase your emotional state. And you want to take control of this before it gets to the point of burnout, because when you reach that point, it's very, very difficult to recover. So having a self-care plan is a stopgap to make sure that that doesn't happen. Next slide, please. I thought what we'd do is look at some definitions. First of all, mindfulness. That's a practice of maintaining a moment-by-moment awareness of your thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations, and surrounding environment. And you're not doing it roughly like I'm here and then I'm going here and here, but the approach is very gently. You're looking through this, and it's not to self-correct or anything else. It's about being aware of what is going on and then going with that flow. Self-care, then, is a practice of taking an active role in protecting your own well-being, pursuing happiness, and having the ability, tools, and resources to respond to periods of stress so you don't wind up in imbalance, because if you do, that might lead to a healthcare crisis. Self-care means asking yourself, what do you need, and following through with an honest answer. Now, this can be as simple as going to bed a little earlier, or as hard as looking at the habits you've created when you're not caring for yourself and say, okay, I'm not doing this. What kind of effect is it having on my life when I'm outside of that environment? How am I responding? Okay, next slide, please. So what I want to do is break this down in a variety of steps. And the first I thought we would look at is self-care actions. Now, the road to self-sacrifice is always paved with good intentions. As caregivers, you sacrifice to meet deadlines, help others, and show love and care for them by going above and beyond. But remember, you're all you have. And so you owe it to yourself to take care of your physical, mental, and spiritual health. Nobody sets out to cause himself harm, but self-care can get put off in view of everything that you're asked to do. So accepting your own needs without judgment will help you do a better job of interacting with others and adding value to your caregiving relationship. And you want to pay attention to your reactions when giving care so you can create a recovery plan that works for you and then put it into action. That way, you'll be less likely to tune out. And in everything we do, we want to approach it with kindness. So I love kindness because you're already giving kindness to the one you care for. Now I want you to turn it around and give it to yourself. Why? Because when you practice kindness, it helps you to rewire your brain, heal your wounds, and change your focus. And everyone benefits when you're compassionate with yourself. So when life is hectic, take a mini break. This will help you feel way more rested and able to handle your responsibilities without resentment. And it'll keep you from avoiding the common statement, what about me? When is it my turn? And that's a natural reaction, but we don't want it to get to that point. All right, so let's go to the next slide. What we're going to look at first is breaking these areas down, mind, body, and soul, into proper focus. So instead of always putting the needs of the one that you care for first, you're learning now that it's okay to make some time to meet your own needs, and this will help you in these 3 areas. All right, so I want to go one by one, and let's start with the mind. Mental self-care involves looking at and adjusting the way you think, because your thoughts can have an impact on your emotions and affect your overall health. So mentally, this can look like reading, meditating, painting, or anything else that gives your mind a break. You might also choose to work through difficult thought patterns and moments in your personal history, either with a companion friend that you have a lot in common with or with therapy. And doing so can offer you the space to process your feelings, emotions, and daily experiences. When we look at the body, we're talking about physical self-care, and that is so important for nourishing and caring for your body to make sure everything works properly. And that can be done by finding a balance, the right balance between physical activity and rest. It's also very important to take time to feed your body with a wholesome and nutritious diet. And I know for a fact, because I've been through it, that sometimes eating is something that you're doing on the run. You're not able to get a full meal, and you sort of have to grab what you can and go back into your duties. But if you are thinking and making this a process, you may find ways that you can choose foods that are still nutritious and don't interrupt too much with your day, because your goal is to feel rested and at peace and content with your own well-being. Finally, the area of the soul can encompass a variety of practices that help you nourish your spirit and emotional well-being. And doing this can raise your self-awareness. It's also important to form a method of spirituality that helps you stay grounded and resonates with you. So I'm not suggesting that we go out and do something you've never done before, but find a ways to easily, slowly, gently, step by step, make these changes with these areas in mind, because then it attends to you and you can do a better job of attending to the one that you're caring for. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So now we look at the importance of having a self-care plan. Now that's an opportunity for you to fill it with your favorite activities, important reminders, and ways to activate your own self-care community. Those are the people that you want to gather together with you, neighbors, relatives, or maybe others who are also similar caregivers, that you can trade off and be there for each other. So that way you are working with someone in your plan that very well knows what you're going through and can empathize and help you achieve your goals. So I also think it's good to have a plan, because sometimes as caregivers, you can be so busy in all of your activities that you have to set something aside and go back into the duties. So having a plan helps you see this is important, and you are making this at a time when you're calm, not to the point of crisis. It takes the guesswork out of everything you're doing when you say, all right, I like these activities. I'm going to be more in control of my life if I set this up now that I'm not chaotic. I'm not just responding out of stress. And then you'll have your plan in place. And it's preventative. Doing this is preventative, as again, it's better to plan when you're not in crisis. And the reality is that only you know how intensely your stress levels can get and what resources are available to you. So taking the time to have a plan helps you stay the course. It will help you establish a routine so you don't wind up in isolation. And as we talked about earlier, it's very important to have a self-care buddy that the two of you can check in on each other together. And this talks about accountability, because then you have a plan that your buddy knows about, your relatives know about, and then they can come in and say, okay, I understand at what point you're going to be needing support, and they can make ways to be there for you. All right, so what I've also created for you are some mindful activities that you can think about adding to your self-care plan along with whatever you choose. So let's take a look at those. Next slide, please. All right. Breath. Our breath is so important. And it's a powerful tool because it eases our stress and helps us to feel way less anxious. Just something as simple as changing your breathing patterns can really help you calm and relax. I know one time I was teaching deep breathing to a group of people, and it was hard for them to realize what's involved. So when they were breathing, they had a tendency to lift up their shoulders, and their body was getting tight, and they weren't really giving into the entire body when you breathe. Shallow breathing, why it doesn't work, is because you're letting go of your carbon dioxide, and when you're breathing in, if you breathe in too soon, you're breathing it back in, and you're not really getting completely relaxed. So deep breathing works because it engages the whole body. And you want to bring that oxygen in for a healthy, better understanding of your own self. Doing so can help regulate your heartbeat and stabilize blood pressure. All right, and deep breathing is very easy to do. We kind of touched on it a little bit in the beginning, and I would say maybe even 15 or 20 minutes would make a huge difference. And this is something you can do in the middle of your day by these deep breathing exercises, but maybe stepping out when your loved one is otherwise occupied or when they're napping. and find a private area and then practice your breathing. And even 5 to 10 minutes will make a huge difference. But I also found this exercise called the bumblebee breath, and it just was so amazing. I had to share. All right, with the bumblebee breath, we get a little more structured. You want to be sitting down, your legs are uncrossed and relaxed. And then you take your index fingers and place them on the flaps of your ears. And in a minute, you will be closing them, but as you breathe in and out. As you're breathing in, you breathe in lots and lots of oxygen. And when you breathe out, there will be a process where your ears flaps are closed. You'll hear yourself breathing out and making a humming noise at the same time, just like a bumblebee. And the idea is that you don't want to do this in a hurried fashion. And let's say you're trying to learn in the beginning and maybe you're straining too hard to do this, it will actually cause more of a problem if you strain. So you want to be gentle with yourself. All right, we don't want anybody to wind up having more stress, but actually hearing the humming will calm you down. It's really neat. So when you breathe in, you're breathing in lots of air. And then when you breathe out, you're exhaling out your mouth and you have this humming sound going within your ears. So what say we give it a shot? All right. So let's take ourselves and are in the proper body posture. We take our index fingers, we close down our ear flaps, okay? And now we breathe in very slowly through the nose. Okay, and when we get ready to exhale, the air is coming out of our nose and we're making a humming sound. Breathe in and out. And one more time, breathe in and breathe out. I don't expect you to hold it for a long time. If you want to do shallow times of the exhalation, you don't have to go for long periods of time. So doing this actually is really easy to do. You're being a bumblebee for a few minutes, but you're benefiting yourself. And here's why and how. When you do the bumblebee breathing, you actually are balancing your nervous system and improving heart health. It will also help you sharpen your focus and concentration, while at the same time, you're lowering blood pressure and hypertension. Bumblebee breath also works when you're stressed because it provides you with emotional relief, and it's a very calming effect on the body. Before we go on, I wonder if anybody has a question about the process and you would like me to go over the steps again.
Okay, for everybody on, well, I was looking here, we do have one person that has dialed in, and you can press *6 on your phone and we will be able to speak to you. It will unmute your phone. For those of you on Zoom, you can just simply unmute your microphone or raise your hand. The chat box is open and it will remain open, so you can also put something there.
So it's very important that you remember you're using your index fingers, and then you take them and close the flaps of your ears, and you're breathing in through your nose. And then as you make that exhalation sound, you're humming out your mouth and exhaling out the nose. So it's really not only that, but it's really fun to do. And if you have grandchildren, just think you have something new that you can teach them. You can both be bumblebees together. Okay. Let's go on to the next slide. All right. The other mindful self-care method I thought you might find important is movement. So just think about it. When you get out of bed in the morning, don't rush because you've slept all night. So it's very important to be gentle with yourself. So you want to take some time to stretch and release the tension out of your system. There are two ways to do this. When you're laying in bed, you can do the stretching yourself, or you can get up and sit, as we see these women to the right, sit in a chair and be doing our stretching. Okay, so what we're going to do again, just try a couple of stretches to have your feet flat on the floor and raise your arms up. All right. Now I want you to look to the left and stretch your left arm as far as you can while you're keeping yourself centered. Okay, slowly bring that in, turn to the right. Again, stretch, 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 and keep your core as straight as possible. Now, if you're in a chair, you can easily raise your arms up and stretch as far as you can. All right, coming down. And if you're ambitious, then there's one that we won't do today, but you can, if you're sitting comfortably and you're grounded, and you can range your hands all the way down to your feet as far as you can go and do that stretch as well. Those are easy, quick things to do, and it's amazing how much tension it removes out of your body. All right, we're going to take another look at breathing. And again, I'll show you how easy it is to do. So maybe you want to pause for a moment in the middle of something you're doing. And again, you go privately and you have your loved one cared for. So you can sit in a chair, like this lady is. You're sitting up straight, but not too stiffly. And your feet are flat on the floor. Place your hands on your knees and close your eyes. Okay. Now we want to breathe in slowly. And hold. And now slowly exhale out the mouth. And as you're breathing in this second time, just remember that you're breathing air all the way into your body, your inside, down to your abdomen area. You want to get the air all the way fully in and then exhaled fully out. So let's try that one more time. And so we breathe in, lungs expanding, rib cage expanding, and breathe out. Okay, and we open our eyes. And you can do this even for 1 minute, and you're going to feel the difference. You may only have 5. So think about this as a quick, easy way that you can bring oxygen back into your body, and this helps everything. It's a great way to renew. All right, to reduce your stress levels, think about planning a mini break once in a while. And maybe you could schedule a little at-home spa day, maybe when someone's coming in to care for your loved one. And you could think about giving yourself a facial or a pedicure, or maybe you could use this time to do a little bit of meditation. Now, this next area is open to anybody, and I totally love it because you want to make time for play. So many of us lose our sense of fun when we're immersed in caregiving because we're concerned about the one that we're caring for and they have our attention. But research shows that laughing is linked to reduced stress, reduced tension, and lowering anxiety. So, an easy way to do it is make time to watch a funny TV show or a video, or watch a comedian and then just spend a few minutes laughing. I love doing this. In fact, I do it in the evening before I go to bed because then I've relaxed and I've let go of the stress and I feel so much better as I call it a night. Okay, next slide. All right, this mindful self-care method is about reconnection. So if you're blessed to live in a place where there are parks or waterfronts or gardens, and you can access them for a walk, a run, or a bike ride, it's a blessing. So take advantage of it when you can. Even a 20 to 25-minute walk will help you go to sleep faster, and it will also improve the quality of sleep that you receive at night. Doing this also helps you slow down and let go of accumulated stress and mental fatigue. And it helps you too to get plenty of vitamin D, which is our sunshine. So being outside in nature helps us remember our connection with all that is. But it might be going outside might be something as simple as reading a book, going to a coffee shop, or taking a nice leisurely walk. And then there's one area that I've truly tried, and that's forest therapy. So they have a lot of public parks, and if you find one with a nice simple course that you can do what the Japanese do, is called Shinrin Yoku, and it's a healthy way to walk mindfully through nature. So if you're going to do this, then you need to eliminate distractions. So that means turning off your cell phone and refraining from talking so you can take in the whole forest experience. By walking mindfully, then, you engage curiosity and exchange tiredness for all this energy that you're going to be feeling as having a time when your body can regroup. It will lower your blood pressure and help you focus. It also helps to help you build a stronger immune system. And a stronger immune system means you're going to be more resistant to the body breaking down and having problems with disease. It can get rid of your stress, uplift your mood, and help you think better. So there's lots and lots of good reasons for doing this. This would be a way to find a buddy that would care for your one that you're with, or a relative to come in, and you go out and go for this walk. And it's absolutely wonderful. Again, I tried it and I know that it works. It works very well. So let's go to the next slide. Now, this area is about resting, and catching up on our sleep is very important because it's safe to say that the amount of sleep we get dictates the quality of life the next day that we experience. And if we're caring for someone, we want to be at the top of our game and get plenty of rest. So you might think about the possibility of a nap during the day, if that works, and if the one that you're caring for is sleeping themselves, maybe you can get a little 5-minute nap. The other thing is think about reducing blue light, and that comes from the sunshine and other sources like TVs, computers, laptops, or tablets. It's also very important to reduce blue light sources during the hour before you go to sleep, because that will slow down the disruption of your sleeping patterns. And it was interesting for me to find out that not getting enough sleep can affect the level of melatonin your body feels, and that is connected with brain alertness. Also, if you're having trouble sleeping at night and getting to sleep, you might want to remove distractions from your room, such as taking your TV out and putting it outside of the bedroom, silencing your cell phone, or leaving it in another room. Now, I do the latter. I leave my cell phone in another room at night. So, these are areas that you can rest. Well, there's another area that is very important too, and it's about emotional rest. So, you want to give yourself permission to cry. And this is actually a very important component in your self care plan, because it's so good to release all the emotions that you've taken on, the sadness, the concern that you have, maybe feel a little down at times. And that way you give yourself an opportunity to get those emotions out in a way that it gives you a release from pain and tension. And once you've cried, for most people, it helps us see the sun through the clouds again, because we did do that release. All right, let's go to the next slide. I've given you lots of ideas, some that you can do when you can take time away, and some that you can do in a short term, but maybe you don't have that amount of time. So when you just have a minute, here are some things that you can do that will also refresh. And we're going to look at these by the senses. So the first thing we're looking at is things you can taste. Taking a few minutes to sip herbal tea does wonders to lower your anxiety and stress, because you can get lost in brewing the tea, inhaling the fragrant steam, and feel the warmth as you sip the tea and it flows through your body. Let's look at things you can smell. Soothing anxious thoughts and feelings of worry or unhappiness or upset can be eliminated with a little aromatherapy diffusion, or rubbing a few drops on your hand in your palm and simply breathing. It's really important because most aromatherapies you don't want to take into your body. They are just topical. So when you decide to do that, be sure to wash your hands afterwards, and then you can go on to your next task. The next area, things you can hear. Listening to calming music helps you relax more deeply, and it provides a focal point as you learn how to be more present in the moment. Next, things you can feel. All right, if you notice how your pet's fur feels as your hand gently strokes it, that's very calming. And if you don't have a pet, place your hands on your heart and get lost in your heartbeat, because then this will help you experience the joy that you're creating. And finally, things that you can see. Sensing what's happening way out beyond your immediate sight, by looking out at the sky, looking at the trees, or maybe at a wall in the distance. It will help you noticing colors and textures and let you get lost in the stillness. So by paying attention to your senses, you're taking a moment to reconnect with yourself, and as a result, you will become fully present. All right, next slide, please. So I want to thank you for exploring easy ways to add mindful self-care practices to your day. And in summary, I just want to tell you, don't think of mindful self-care as unnecessary or time-consuming, because instead it's a gift you give yourself and the one that you're caring for. To practice mindful self-care, remember to stay connected to yourself. It's important that you choose activities or experiences that bring you joy, no matter how brief. Doing something for yourself can give you peace also, like the stretching, walking, breathing deeply, or laughing can make a dramatic difference on the quality of care that you provide your loved one. And making time for a self-care routine will help you reduce the amount of accumulated stress that you're picking up and trying to handle. And when you feel stress taking over, remember to take some deep breaths, center and ground, and take time for a quieting thought. For, as Dr. Kabat-Zinn tells us, it's indeed a radical act of love just to sit and be quiet for a time by yourself. Now, Dr. Zinn is the creator of the mindfulness-based stress reduction program that he introduced to students at the University of Massachusetts. Remember, the emotional and physical demands of caregiving can strain even the strongest person. So remember, you're not being selfish when you devote a little time to your self-care. And doing so can help you see how important the role of caregiving is and newly refresh your spirit. All right, next slide, please. Also, gratitude works. You know, you've been so patient. We've spent a lot of time talking about mindful ways to master our self-care plans. When we're caring for others, we've discussed solutions. I've given you ideas. But before we close, there's one exercise I love to do. It is simple and easy, and it's always done in the evening at the end of the day. All right, this is simple to do. If you're by yourself, then you want to stand in front of the mirror, look deeply into the mirror, and repeat a phrase I'm going to give you in a minute. Okay, if you have a partner, sit down across from your partner and look deeply into each other's eyes, feeling as grateful as possible. And where you are in either scenario, when you're looking deeply, then say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because remember, the person you need to appreciate is yourself. Because giving is receiving, everyone benefits. It's important for your health, the ones you care for, your relationships, and your family. All right, next slide. So thank you for going along with me on this new avenue of mindful self-care. I hope that what I have given you will be starters for you creating a plan and setting up an option where you can take care of yourself and then come back refreshed and renewed into your caregiving responsibilities. And I also want to thank Glenda and Minerva and WellMed for the wonderful way in which they make this service available to all caregivers, because it's a wonderful way to remain connected and feel comforted. And it also helps you remember you are not alone. So if anybody has any questions at this point, if there's any area in the presentation that you have additional questions, I'm available, and please send them through.
All right. Once again, a reminder, if you're on Zoom, you just unmute your microphone and we'll be able to hear you, and you can talk to Cynthia directly. If you dialed in on your telephone, press *6. That will unmute that, or the chat box is open.
And while they're doing that, I'll just go ahead and tell you that you can reach me on heartsonghealingplace.com if you want to know about my services. And I'm also on Facebook. I have 2 group pages. One is called Grateful Hearts, where I write about my faith and what I'm grateful for. And then I write about wellness tips on Heart Song Healing Wellness Tips page. I'm also on LinkedIn.
So just sounds like they can reach you in all kinds of ways, Cynthia.
Kinds of ways. I do my best to be available.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Jennifer. Love it. So I wish you well as you reflect on these ideas and find a way to be mindfully reduce your stress and live in peace and relaxation. And as we close today, all I would like to say to you now is thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. We're going to put up a survey, and if you would take a couple of minutes to complete that as we stay online here. And while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you what's coming up on the Caregiver Teleconnection. Tomorrow, I'll be back with you and with Elliot Montgomery-Sklar and Lucy Bearlack, and we're going to be doing the second in our sessions on how to include caregivers in the care team. and this is a series for healthcare workers. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about difficult situations and elder abuse. That's a difficult topic in itself, and that's at 10 o'clock Central Time. So join us for that. And then the third in that series will be on Wednesday, October the 30th at 10 o'clock Central Time. And that one's going to be about diversity and caregiving. Also, I'm going to ask Minerva to, will y'all be sending out a reminder? Yes, there will be a reminder coming out. Minerva beat me to the punch. I was going to tell you, be sure and look for our Caregiver Summit that's coming up in November the 14th. Let's see, Minerva has a registration link there in the chat box if you would like to look for more information and register for that. And Minerva, am I right in assuming that it's like previous years, you can either attend in person or virtually? Is that correct?
Correct. We're doing another hybrid session again this year. We have some locations in San Antonio. For the English, there will be also a location at our Dallas Senior Center down in the Valley, and 2 of the senior centers we have in the Florida market as well. And if you can't attend in person, you can always attend virtually.
Perfect. And the Spanish language session is going to be on November the 19th. But you'll find all the information you need on that link right there. Please take just a second to do the survey that you saw that popped up there, if you would. It helps us in planning and knowing how we're doing. We would appreciate your participation in that. So I'll give just a minute or so for that. And if you've been on with me before, I don't hold people just because we're not to the end of the hour. So we will just say goodbye after that. So let me just give you a minute to do the survey. Okay, well, I see a lot of people are signing off. So I want to thank you for joining us today. It's been my pleasure to be with Cynthia and to be with each one of you. And I wish you all the happiness and peace in your life that Cynthia's helped us today to look at and given us. So some people are saying they don't see the survey. So I'm just giving that back to you, Minerva, because I do not have a clue how I would correct that. It's probably going along with our Zoom technical issues today.
I went ahead and relaunched it, so please let me know if you don't see it.
Okay, so try that again. And I'm seeing it, Minerva, but it shows 0 responses. So I don't know if people are not able to, yeah, they still don't. Perhaps Minerva, you can email that out since that we are having, issues today. Maybe you can email that out to people. Oh, okay. Now they're saying that they're seeing it. So that's good.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're trying to make Minerva's life a little bit easier because she makes ours easier, and I'm grateful for that, following everything that Cynthia said. Okay, well, I don't want to keep you any longer. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for the things that you do in your caregiving world. Please come back and join us again. We'll look for you. And having said that, I will say goodbye.
Thank
Thank you.